War tightens its grip on Ukraine as the Russian invasion continues. What's unfolding tonight, plus a grim warning from the president of Ukraine to the rest of the world.
I might not have a hometown, I might not have a family, might not have a country to come back to.
Ukrainians who call Utah home rally at the state capitol as they watch their home country in turmoil. The personal toll for many tonight.
I'd want to get out of there as fast as possible, and that's what happens. They're all getting stuck.
This Utah company has raised thousands of dollars in less than 24 hours to try and help a local woman whose family is desperately trying to escape Ukraine.
The latest on the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Fox 13 News at 9 starts now. Right now, people all over Ukraine, many with ties to Utah, are fleeing for their lives as Russian military forces continue their full-scale invasion of that country. Ukrainian leaders say they have lost control of the decommissioned Chernobyl nuclear power plant. The president of Ukraine is now calling on leaders from around the world to help, saying, quote, "If you don't help us now, the war will knock on your door."
Today, President Joe Biden told members of the media that Russian President Vladimir Putin violated international law with his invasion and that this act of aggression cannot go unanswered.
This is going to take time. It's not going to occur. He's going to say, oh, my God, these sanctions are coming. I'm going to stand down. He's going to test the resolve of the West to see if we stay together, and we will.
The U.S. and its allies are imposing several sanctions on Russian entities along with Russian elite. However, President Biden would not commit to some of the more severe actions, leaving those decisions to European leaders.
Tonight, the ripple effect of this invasion is being felt all around the world, including right here in Utah. Fox 13 News has your team coverage tonight.
We start with Fox 13 News reporter Spencer Joseph, who was at a rally at the Utah State Capitol this evening in support of Ukraine. Spencer.
Yeah, and many of those expressed anger, heartbreak, and worry. Lots of them are here for either schooling or have lived in Utah for only a short time, so they all have family and friends they're worried about. Many of them from Kyiv, which is now currently almost under attack by Russian forces.
I think this is a wake-up call for the world to watch.
In Ukrainian, freedom is voля.
Adorned in blue and yellow.
It's not just Ukraine and Russia in this. It's the whole world at this point.
Yeah.
A group of Ukrainians in Utah standing their ground against Russia.
When they're bombing your own city, when they're all over Ukraine, when they're coming from east, from the south, from north, you see it's serious and it'll affect the whole world.
On the steps of the Utah Capitol.
We hope that other countries will help us. We hope that our own military will be strong enough to stop this war. We hope Putin will come back to his senses.
For some, it was to cherish their home country.
We just want our land. We want to be safe. We don't want to have war.
For others, it was for their families still at home.
I might not have a hometown. I might not have a family. Might not have a country to come back to.
But all were there to denounce President Putin and the Kremlin's acts of war.
The only way to get out of this situation is for Putin to stop.
It's been happening ever since 2014, actually. It's not just recent. So it's about time that it stops.
And despite the cold,
it's been cold.
It's been really cold.
They stood there for hours spreading their message.
I'll come here every day. Catch me here.
And I hope Russian people will try to stop their leader.
All the Russian friends that you have, tell them that you're against this, that you want them to speak out.
And while the fighting a world away has them worried, they're asking for support from Utah as their home away from home.
If other countries don't come to stop Russia with us, it will spread. It'll spread further. It'll go everywhere in Europe. Russia won't stop in Ukraine. It's just a matter of days or weeks until they go further than Ukraine. You have to stop it now.
You gotta stop it now, or else it's gonna get worse and worse, and it's gonna be a lot harder to stop.
You heard it. Many of them say they will be up there every day until Putin stops his aggression and movement into their home country. In fact, tomorrow at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, they plan to be back at the state capitol standing for their country. Live in studio, Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Emotional gathering. Spencer, thank you. Utah is now part of the bolstering of U.S. forces heading overseas to support Ukraine. Fighter jets from Hill Air Force Base are joining forces in the countries neighboring Russia and Ukraine. The F-35s moved from Germany to Estonia, Lithuania, and Romania.
With the turmoil in Ukraine, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has announced the closure of its temple in Kyiv. The church's Europe East Area Presidency is urging members in Ukraine to join with the faith's top leaders in praying for peace. Last month, the church moved its full-time missionaries out of Ukraine, reassigning them to other parts of Europe. There are more than 11,000 Latter-day Saints and about 50 congregations in Ukraine.
Meantime, a Utah family now getting support from the community as they try to help their loved ones escape the violence in Ukraine.
Fox 13 News reporter Eliana Sheriff shows us how thousands of dollars have already been donated.
I was really distracted because we were up all night last night trying to talk with the family, trying to get them here, trying to just get any information.
As Marley Salamatin started her day remotely at Weave, a tech company in Lehigh, she apologized to her team lead and explained that she and her husband were trying to help rescue family from Ukraine. What followed was a cascade of donations from coworkers, many she's never met before, but all who want to help.
It's heartbreaking.
Dallin Hunt, one of Marley's coworkers, watched a video of a Ukrainian dad on Twitter who was saying goodbye to his wife and his daughter.
You know, you have kids of your own and you try to imagine that scenario. And I started crying at lunch. I'm thinking there's really nothing we can do.
That's why when he saw this message come over on Slack, he didn't hesitate to donate.
This is a little thing, but it is something that I at least can do to help someone involved.
That's why it's been such a roller coaster of emotions today, because we've had some really low lows, but we've also had some really high highs.
And Marley's husband, Igor, grew up in Ukraine, and Marley served an LDS mission in Ukraine.
I met so many incredible people, and my heart just really, really hurts for the people there, for the people I've met.
Right now, Igor's aunt, uncle, cousin, mom, and dad and brother are all in the same car trying to get to Romania, where flights are still leaving for the U.S. Igor says they're stressed and feeling helpless.
Because I can't go there and physically move them across the border.
Igor is worried if they don't get out soon enough, his 50-year-old father could be drafted, which could also compromise the rest of his family leaving.
Also, I have fear that if my dad gets drafted, then my mom and my brother won't be able to leave.
We told them we wanted them to leave way earlier, but they were afraid that if nothing happened, then they would have lost money and time. It would have just been a waste.
Igor says he's not surprised to see the invasion of his home country, but he is surprised at how brutal it is and how quickly it's escalating.
It's hard because now I know the difference. I know what freedom feels like. It's sad that someone else is trying to take it away.
Now, the family has a goal of trying to raise $20,000. If you would like to help support them, we have all of those details on our website, fox13now.com. In Lehigh, Eliana Sheriff, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Fox 13 News will continue to cover the very latest developments in Ukraine, as well as the reactions from local and national leaders. We'll share updates always on air and online at fox13now.com.
Now to COVID-19 in Utah. 627 more Utahns tested positive for the virus since yesterday's report. That continues our downward trend with new cases. Although the number of COVID patients hospitalized went back up just a bit, 5 more Utahns died from the virus.
The CDC could announce new guidance for COVID restrictions as early as tomorrow. A scientist with the agency says that will include masking guidance. Right now, the CDC says people who live in areas with high levels of COVID transmission should wear masks indoors. And while the agency isn't expected to change that guidance, it is expected to change the way it defines high levels of transmission by focusing more on hospitalizations and deaths versus case numbers.
Well, we got a dusting of snow this morning. We got this much of a dusting of snow at our house. And then it turned nice,
yes,
albeit cold.
And then tomorrow morning, we have some more chances for snow, mainly east of the Great Salt Lake. We're starting to see some snow developing over the Great Salt Lake right now, so lake enhancement is going to be a possibility for tonight. It's 27 degrees. Our roads are cold. Any sort of snow that we get, especially down in Utah County, would lend for that sticking to the ground very quickly and creating slick driving conditions. So as I mentioned, it looks like a nice little band of snow is developing over the Great Salt Lake right now, mainly through Box Elder County. This will continue moving towards the east-southeast, and we will end up seeing some snow showers here across northern Utah tonight. It's a very weak system, pretty moisture-starved, but we could end up picking up a few more inches of snow, mainly in the mountains, and then for the valleys, a couple of inches of snow possible as well. But temperatures currently 8 below in Evanston for what it feels like, 15 in Logan, 16 in Ogden for what it feels like, 13 in Provo, 13 for Cedar City, 32 in St. George. Chance for some slick roads tomorrow morning with the overnight snow in the forecast. I'll let you know what you can expect here the next few days, especially as we're heading into a weekend coming up.
We need some lifts coming out of the town. We need better parking facilities. It's just been a Vail fail.
Can a cold $9 hot dog stop a development at the ski resort? I'll tell you how this has become ammunition in a development dispute in Park City.
Changes could be coming to a controversial bill dealing with transgender athletes in Utah schools. We'll explain the compromise that state lawmakers, advocates, and the governor are all discussing.
There is a Black community here. It's present. We're people worth including.
And as we near the end of Black History Month, we'll introduce you to the people behind a new book celebrating Black culture in the Beehive State.
And we waited 42 minutes for a cold hot dog.
And at that price, you should be able to customize a sandwich, especially at a Vail resort.
There's been a fair amount of negative sentiment.
It was supposed to be just lunch. Instead, a Park City resident has turned this cold $9 hot dog, into an example of what he says is poor management at Park City Mountain Resort. And he's not the only one.
No, the ski area, which is owned by Vail Resorts, is getting blasted from many sides. Here's Fox 13 News investigative reporter Nate Carlisle.
And we waited 42 minutes for a cold hot dog. And the parts that should be warm were cold, and the parts that should be cold were warm.
But Michael Kaplan says this isn't really about a $9 hot dog. So let's back up.
I had a bunch of house guests here, and we decided to ski Park City. But there was no parking to be found. Several of the key lifts weren't running. Huge lines, terrible grooming, and we didn't have a good experience, so we decided to go and have lunch.
That's when Kaplan waited to buy the hot dog at a mid-mountain lodge. Kaplan can see the slopes of Park City Mountain Resort from his house.
So this is their quitting time run.
And has taught ski resort management courses at universities in Utah and abroad.
I'm teaching in Amsterdam with 17 different countries in my class.
He sees that hot dog as a symbol of how Park City Mountain Resort's owner, Vail Resorts, has failed to invest in the property.
We need some lifts coming out of the town. We need better parking facilities. They're letting down their own employees with lack of housing and lack of pay. It's just been a Vail fail.
Vail fail has become a viral hashtag for other critics who post videos like this, showing long lift lines at Park City Mountain Resort in December.
We went to lunch and we ordered a sandwich, a $19 sandwich, and they told me that I couldn't take 2 items off of it and customize it because customizations weren't allowed. I think we all respect the challenges of COVID, but I think we also have to respect the dollar that people are spending, and especially during COVID.
In 2018, a season pass to all of Vail's resorts could be purchased for about $700. Since then, Vail has been reducing the price down to less than $600 for the current season if you bought early. Vail does not disclose resort-specific data, so we don't know precisely what impact the pass prices have had on Park City. But the town is setting sales tax revenue records every month, and the Utah Department of Transportation data for January showed almost as many cars entering the town as January's before the pandemic, even though the other traditional big draw for that month,
there were a lot of stories that were not getting told.
The Sundance Film Festival, remained virtual.
And if people are having a bad experience and aren't coming back in the future, that reflects directly on our economy and our reputation.
We will just flip the presentations and we'll start with Mike Gore.
Park City Mountain Resort's Chief Operating Officer, Mike Gore, attended last week's town council meeting. He said the number of ski visitations are similar to recent years, but that the nationwide labor shortage has closed some lifts and slowed food service. Council members relayed their constituents' frustrations about skiers crowding the slopes.
It feels like there's a lot more people. It feels a little less safe out there.
But this time last year, I skied like 18 days. I skied twice, because it's not only is like it hasn't snowed very much, but I really just don't want to deal with all the things that I'm seeing or hearing.
I've heard more locals say this year, come up to you and just say, I don't think I'll ever buy a pass at Park City again.
And spilling into Park City.
It's feeling like our residents can't get to and from the services they need on the weekends.
Park City Mountain Resort wants to add more condos, lodging, and restaurants. Opponents of the development have used the ski and culinary problems to encourage the town council to say no to further development.
Our leverage with Vail is going to be the development of the base area. So that's where we should step in and just say, if you want to develop it, we need you to do these best practices.
We asked Gore, the resort's chief operating officer, about the problems.
There's been a fair amount of negative sentiment driven by some really challenging staffing issues that we've had this year that we're working through. But it's impacted the amount of terrain and lifts that we've had open this season. I don't think there's an issue with $9 cold hot dogs. I don't deny that someone showed up with the picture of that. We talked to our teams about the experience the guest had. That isn't normal. I've not heard a story like that.
Gore said the development project has nothing to do with the problems the town wants to solve.
It's a great project that will be an enhancement. It has a number of workforce housing units in it.
In Park City, Nate Carlisle, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, we do have some more chances for snow tonight here across northern Utah. Right now, dry roads so far. We are starting to see our temperatures dropping. We've got it feeling like 20 degrees right now here in Salt Lake. Wind is out of the south currently about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And here's what I'm tracking for you. A little bit of blue on the satellite and radar. We have some snow in the forecast for tonight for northern Utah. We'll see some snow mainly north of I-80, but we do have that potential for it to drop a little bit lower, especially out towards Twila and across the Salt Lake Valley. But generally speaking, southern Utah, mostly clear, cold conditions tonight. Right now, what I'm adding here is the feels like temp, just so you have a better idea of how you need to dress if you have to run and take the dog out for a walk here. 7 below for Bryce Canyon, 3 degrees in Price right now after impressive snow reports this week. 10 in Vernal, 8 below in Evanston right now, 15 in Logan, 16 in Ogden, 13 in Provo, and then our temperatures in St. George feeling like 32 right now. Here are your top weather headlines. We do have some light snow in the forecast for tonight, and with how cold it has been, this cold air mass that we have in place, it means any snow that falls will stick to the ground really quickly. So we could have a very slick drive tomorrow morning. Even if we just get a dusting, we could end up with a slick drive tomorrow morning. So you want to take it slow there. Then high pressure will return this weekend. A very cold start to the weekend, especially for our overnight temps Friday night and Saturday night. For tonight, about 10 to 20 degrees here for the Wasatch Front. Snow is possible, so the slick roads when you first wake up tomorrow morning. And then by tomorrow afternoon, highs only around 30, so it's going to be a cool Friday. This is below average this time of year. Normally we're in the upper 40s, so we're below average again tomorrow, and then we'll have some warmer temperatures next week. Overnight temps 6 a.m. about 15 to 20 for Provo, Eagle Mountain, and Tooele. Salt Lake and Ogden tomorrow morning close to 20, Logan near 10. And then by tomorrow afternoon, we're going to start seeing this chance for snow mainly moving over towards the UNS. But by 4 o'clock tomorrow, we'll have those temperatures around 25 to 30 for Provo, Tooele, Salt Lake, and Ogden. St. George tomorrow around 50. Now the chance of precipitation tomorrow is going to be widely scattered here in Salt Lake. Then we're going to be drying out. But then you'll see they start ticking up towards the middle to end of next week. So by next Thursday night, that's when we could start seeing a few more scattered showers returning. So let me show you this upper moisture forecast. This is our quick little system that we're getting additional clouds out of as well tonight, that chance for some snow overnight. Then we dry out, ridging returns. This is our area of high pressure. You can see this clockwise flow. And then we're going to potentially have some more changes towards the end of next week. St. George near 50 for Friday, Saturday close to 60, Sunday, Monday near 70 to 75. Middle of next week here in Salt Lake, partly cloudy tomorrow, the chance for some snow very early in the day. Saturday 34, we're close to 50 Monday through the middle of next week. And I'll talk more about snow totals coming up later in the hour.
Thanks so much, Allison. Still ahead, we'll explain how one group right here in Utah is helping the country of Haiti as they continue to struggle with the COVID pandemic.
And an update tonight on remains found in an abandoned mine in Utah's West Desert, thought to possibly be connected to the disappearance of Susan Cox Powell. What we learned today.
Well, several mobile triage units made right here in Utah are now headed for Haiti. The Utah-based company HHI Corporation created these portable hospitals 2 years ago, right at the start of the COVID pandemic. They were used by healthcare workers and patients fighting COVID-19 to help prevent the spread of the illness. Now they will be shipped to a hospital in Haiti that was been largely neglected, also under-resourced over the past 6 years.
A West Jordan company is giving away bedding to Utah refugee children in need. Today, the company Beddies donated 150 bed sets to families and students in the Jordan School District. They partnered with the Jordan Education Foundation, which says they have seen a large increase in need, as many families and children are sleeping on the floor without beds, pillows, or warm blankets.
She says, I woke up because I heard explosions.
Ukrainians here in Utah have their attention focused on the Russian invasion. I'll have what they're hearing from their friends and family back in their country coming up.
A controversial bill that would set the ground rules for transgender athletes in Utah schools may be close to moving forward. The changes that could ease concerns on both sides of the debate.
The Jazz are back together after the All-Star break and ready to go for the final stretch of the season. We'll hear from Donovan Mitchell after today's practice.
If you are just joining us, we want to get you up to speed on the very latest details of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Ukraine's government now reporting mounting casualties and losing ground, including the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Also tonight, the Ukraine government is saying Russian forces are moving in on the capital city of Kyiv. President Biden met virtually with leaders of the G7 and announced more sanctions against Russia. NATO is also planning to hold a summit tomorrow with 30 countries to map out the next steps of their response. As we have been reporting, many Ukrainians here in Utah have been following the news of Russia's invasion very closely.
Continuing our team coverage tonight, Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold spoke with two Ukrainian women who have been in contact with their family and friends in their home country.
The images coming out of Ukraine have kept Vlada Yaramenko glued to her phone with several of her family members.
My father, who actually is in the police force in Ukraine, and my grandma who lives there, my uncle and his whole family, my cousins.
Still living in a country that Russia has now invaded.
I call my best friend, and she lives in the city of Dnipro, which is one of the major cities in Ukraine. And she says, I woke up because I heard explosions.
Similar shock being felt by Anya Barashok. She said she was in Dnipro, her home city, just 2 months ago for the holidays.
When I was there, it didn't seem like anything really happening because I was in big cities and, you know, life was just going as normal.
Which makes it so much harder for Barashok to hear the news coming from her country.
We all we're hoping that it's not going to happen and eventually things will get resolved peacefully, but it's just went a different direction so quickly.
Russian President Vladimir Putin announced the military operation in Ukraine, saying it's intended to protect civilians. He went on to say the goal is not to occupy Ukraine. President Joe Biden announced additional sanctions on Russia earlier today.
Sanctions are helpful, but there needs to be stronger decisions made that actually make Putin pay for what he has done and what he has been doing in Ukraine for the past, several years already. It's evident he's shooting at cities all over Ukraine.
For Yaremenko, she says she's seen pictures of people lined up in Ukraine volunteering to fight and protect her country if needed.
I'm so proud of my people that they're standing strong, and they have this, I don't know how to say it in English, strong will, I guess. They refuse to be destroyed.
In talking with Yaremenko today, she left me with some parting words, Slava Ukrainia, Rohim Slava, which means glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes, which is the national salute to Ukraine. In downtown Salt Lake City, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Ukraine isn't one of the countries Americans grew up learning about, largely because it was part of the Soviet Union for most of the 20th century.
But it is a far more significant country than Russian President Vladimir Putin has suggested in his speeches this week. University of Utah professor Marjorie Castle is an expert in Eastern European relations. She was our in-depth interview today on Fox 13 News Live at noon. She pointed out Ukraine does not just have a rich history. Its modern democracy has been steadily becoming more stable and less corrupt, especially after their last presidential election, where the incumbent lost and then stepped down.
Ukraine has had this peaceful transfer of power. It has significant freedom of speech, freedom of association, and rule of law.
Ukraine is the second largest country by land mass in Europe, with Russia being the largest.
Fox 13 News will continue to cover the latest developments in Ukraine. As we said just a moment ago, Russian troops are now being seen entering Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine. Of course, we will also keep getting reactions from local and national leaders as all of this continues to unfold. We'll share updates here on the air and online at fox13now.com.
Now to an update in the search for Susan Cox Powell. The findings from a mine in the West Desert have been determined not to be hers. It was last week bones and a pair of pants were found in the Ironsides mine by the Diesel Brothers team. The forensic lab in Salt Lake City that analyzed the items says the bones were non-human and the pants had male DNA. According to Susan's father, Chuck Cox, there was a sock and a piece of blouse material that was not submitted for testing, so they have since asked those items to be tested as well.
A team of U.S. Army investigators arrived in Utah today to investigate the crash of two Black Hawk helicopters near Snowbird on Tuesday. The Black Hawks stirred up so much powder snow as they were coming into land during a training exercise, it created whiteout conditions. Then the rotor of one of the helicopters actually came off and hit the other helicopter, causing both to crash. Amazingly, no one was hurt. After more than 2 weeks on the run, the prime suspect in a massive burglary ring is now behind bars.
Unified Police and U.S. Marshals arrested 36-year-old Josh Corbin and his girlfriend last night. Their alleged crime spree of burglary and car theft spread across Salt Lake and Utah counties.
They were actively trying to elude police, but they were able to locate them in an underground parking lot about 21st South and Highland Drive. And as officers converged on them, our suspect, Corbin, rammed two vehicles, damaging one of the marshal's vehicles as well as a UPD vehicle, but then they were taken into custody without further incident.
Corbin is now facing several felony charges, including theft of firearms and aggravated assault. In the meantime, detectives are trying to get all of the stolen goods back to their rightful owners.
Still ahead, one area of affordable housing in Salt Lake City got some major upgrades. We'll show them to you.
Plus, we'll show you a new book paying tribute to the successes of people in Utah's Black community. Welcome back, everyone. Utah's celebration of Black History Month continues. Visit Salt Lake and the Utah Black Chamber have together launched a book. It's titled Black Utah, Stories from a Thriving Community. James Jackson III is the founder of the Utah Black Chamber. One of his goals for the book, Black Utah, was to give a platform to diverse voices within Utah's Black community. Business owners like Byron Russell, artists, musicians, and others share their experiences.
We live in a state where there is amazing opportunity. So instead of pointing fingers, I think it's just a means of thinking, well, what do we have to do to remove barriers and hurdles that allow that equity to exist?
All involved hope this book elevates Black voices while setting an example to inspire people to break barriers and pave their own path of excellence in Utah.
80 senior residents and families living in the Salt Lake City area will be able to continue living in the city thanks to the completion of an affordable housing rehabilitation project. For years, the Jackson apartments have been home for seniors. Now, these apartments are back open after undergoing remodeling. The building's historic facade was restored. There are also major system upgrades and new amenities created on site for senior residents.
We want our residents who have helped build this city to be able to stay here and be a part of the community that they've helped to create.
The redevelopment agency provided a $1 million loan for the project. They estimate the project is helping Salt Lake City's elderly residents who make 60% or less of the area's median income.
Still ahead, could there be a compromise made on the controversial bill regarding transgender athletes in Utah schools? What lawmakers are now discussing.
Coming up in sports, a big night for college basketball. Highlights from all 6 games in the state are on the way. And Donovan Mitchell and the Jazz are all back together after the All-Star break. The All-Star guard will tell us how the Jazz are looking at the final stretch run of the season.
Welcome back, everyone. A deal may now be close on a controversial bill about transgender athletes in Utah schools.
Senate President Stuart Adams signaled today that some changes may be coming to the bill, which LGBTQ rights groups say could ease some of their concerns. Fox 13 News reporter Ben Winslow has more from Utah's Capitol Hill.
The Senate president signaled his support for a bill that creates a special commission to evaluate whether transgender children can play school sports.
I actually like the bill a lot. It's got, some real positive attributes to it. And one of the most significant attribute is the fact that it uses a commission. And we've seen outright bans, and many, I think maybe 10 states have actually passed outright bans. This sets up a data-driven policy.
In a close 4-3 vote, a Senate committee passed the bill, but it's faced pushback from LGBTQ rights groups and social conservatives every step of the way. Social conservatives want an all-out ban on transgender athletes in school sports. Transgender rights groups have objected to partisan appointments to the special commission and evaluating students' physical characteristics to determine eligibility.
I think it's already difficult enough saying that we're going to put a committee together where people are going to have to go in front of that committee and get approval to participate in a sport, which I already have some concerns about. And then when you take it and you say, okay, well, you got to provide all this information about bone density and weight and, the length of your legs or what have you, I just think that creates a barrier that people won't want to go through.
The Senate president says that may change.
There's probably some things that maybe need to be looked at. I'm not sure about the criteria that is listed in the bill as far as it was a may and may look at some different attributes. I'm not sure they need to be listed or not, and whether they get pulled out or changed, I'm not sure. But it is, I think, a great bill and probably has some refining yet to do.
So when you say different attributes, is this the physical characteristics?
The physical characteristics.
Representative Kira Birkeland, the bill's sponsor, tells Fox 13 News she is open to amending her bill. Fox 13 News has learned that Governor Spencer Cox personally met with the bill's sponsors, Equality Utah, and the Senate president to discuss his concerns with the bill. He's been pushing for a compromise and could veto the bill should it reach his desk.
I do think there are people listening. I think Governor Cox is listening, and I think Governor Cox is providing some leadership that can help steer us through this really difficult conversation. I think there is hope.
On the Hill, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Today, the Utah House unanimously supported a resolution urging schools, city league, and youth sports programs to make accommodations for modesty. It centers around students from religious communities. The Utah Muslim Civic League says some girls have had to get special permission to wear a hijab with their team jersey, something others don't have to do. It now goes to the Senate.
A House committee unanimously approved a bill to have schools evaluate whether they're offering enough girls' sports. The bill got support from the father of Sam Gordon, a football player who sued Utah school districts for a girls' football team. Now, she lost the lawsuit, but the issue of gender equity in activities schools offer has not gone away.
This bill helps our schools evaluate whether they are providing adequate opportunities for girls to participate in sports and to address any deficiencies so that more girls can gain those many benefits of high school sports.
The bill now goes to the full House of Representatives for a vote. A proposed state constitutional amendment to remove the earmark for education on the income tax is dead for this year.
Voters just approved a change allowing some social services to be funded through the earmark. Today, Senate Republican leaders announced plans to abandon it for now.
In a statement to Fox 13 News, the Utah Education Association says they appreciate the legislature recognizing the final days of the session is not sufficient time to accomplish a constitutional change of the magnitude presented.
We do have a chance for some snow tonight here along the Wasatch Front, but first I wanted to start with this fantastic picture that I just saw in our Facebook group. Susan just posted this. This was the Virgin River today near Laverkin. Blue sky after the storms that rolled through. Thank you so much for posting this in our Facebook group. If you haven't joined yet, we would love to have you. It's called Utah's Weather Authority. We're doing weather discussions, forecast, your pictures, your videos, your questions. It's a great way to connect with the meteorologist here at Fox 13. Right now, our temperatures here in Salt Lake 27, Ogden 25, Provo currently 22 degrees, and we have a very chilly night ahead. And we also have some snow starting to come down here across northern Utah. What we're starting to see is fairly organized with this band of snow about from Snowville, let's call it, all the way over the Great Salt Lake west of, or just east of the Wendover area, west of Dugway and Grantsville and Tooele and Cedar City and all that good stuff. So we still have dry conditions for most of I-80 through Tooele County right now, but our temperatures are really going to be cooling tonight. We have clear sky across southern Utah. When we have clear sky, those temperatures just really get into a free fall. So it's 13 in Cedar City right now for what it feels like, 11 in Milford, 7 below for Bryce Canyon, 8 below for Evanston. So what I'm saying is we're really cold here across the state, and with this chilly air mass in place, any snow that we do get will stick to the ground very quickly. Now, once our sun rises tomorrow morning around 7:30, we're going to end up with the snow diminishing for most of the valleys. We could see a few flurries throughout the day, but overall our best chance is going to be overnight. So tomorrow morning you might need to set your alarm a few minutes early just in case we end up with some crashes and extra traffic in the morning. It'll be a chilly start in the upper teens, and then across the state at 7 a.m. single digits for Park City, Evanston, and Logan, and then we'll have those temperatures for St. George in the 20s tomorrow morning, but most of the Wasatch Front, Provo, Tooele, Salt Lake, Ogden around 15 to 20 degrees. Then by tomorrow afternoon, it'll be close to 25 to 30. So it'll be another cool day tomorrow. And then as I show you Futurecast, I want to just give you the idea of the storm pattern for tonight. A very weak system, pretty moisture starved moving through. So really not going to see too much out of this. Now, the thing I do want to point out is any snow that we do see, again, I want to reiterate, it would stick to the ground and create slick conditions. So this isn't any major storm by any stretch of the imagination, but it could have some impacts on the morning commute tomorrow. We'll have dry conditions the next few days. Then by next Thursday, our wind starts to pick up out of the south, which will allow us to warm up. And then our next chance for some storms end of next week. So future snow out of the system, mainly the northern third of the state. And we're going to see for the valleys 0 to 2 inches of snow, and for the mountains 1 to 5 inches of snow. St. George near 50 degrees for Friday, Saturday, close to 60 for Sunday, Monday, closer to 70 to 75 towards the middle to end of next week. So warmer weather on the way. Salt Lake 30s through Saturday or close to it, low 40s for Sunday, warmer next week.
The Utah Jazz back from the NBA All-Star break and will play the Dallas Mavericks tomorrow night at home to start a tough 24-game stretch to end the regular season. Donovan Mitchell says his teammates look tanner and he's ready to go after missing the All-Star game with an illness.
I'm not hurting too much. I'm ready to get locked back in and happy to be back with the team and get ready. I think for us it's just, we got some work to do. We know that, and you can tell with everybody's purpose and movements. Not even just when we played, just when we practiced, you could tell with what we did in each segment, guys are ready to go. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be just handed to us on a silver platter. We got to go out there and take it and get ready, and I think guys are locked in, ready to do it.
College basketball, BYU needs a win over Loyola Marymount to keep their NCAA tournament hopes alive. They got a great start. Caleb Lohner lays it in, then he gets the alley-oop. Lohner with a big first half for the Cougars. Others helped out. Gideon George from long range. He hits it to put the Cougars up 20-5. Then they get it inside to Vicente Torre. He throws it down. BYU led it by 20 points right now in the second half. Utah hosting second-ranked Arizona. The Wildcats started the game on an 8-0 run, but the Utes have responded. Brandon Carlson put the Utes on the board with that dunk. And here's Booth Gosh, transition three is good. Yeah, the Utes right back in it. Then it's Carlson once again down low. The Utes find him, and he responds with the jam. Arizona, though, leads it by 10, 40-30 late in the first half. Weber State on the road at Portland State. The Wildcats get it inside to Dante Bassett. Easy finish for the big guy at the rim. Then it's Kobe McEwen open in the far corner for three. It's good, but Portland State leads it by 4 late in the second half. Southern Utah looking to knock off Montana, the top team in the Big Sky. John Knight the third with the jam. He had 26 points. Then in the second half, Jason Spurgeon misses, gets it back, put back, and the foul. 15 points, 13 rebounds. Southern Utah beat Montana 82-74. Utah Valley played at home against Seattle. Jordan Battle gets to the Fardaws Amick for the throwdown. How about that? He had 19 points, 18 rebounds. Mr. Double-Double. Got a couple more dunks in the second half, leading Utah Valley to a 67-52 win. Dixie State hosted Cal Baptist, tied at 29 in the second half. Hunter Schofield scores it down low, put the Trailblazers up 2. He had 26 points. Then it's Denzel Letter. Defender falls down, takes it up for 2. He had 11, but Cal Baptist pulled away, beat Dixie State 71-61.
Wow, that's a whole lot of college basketball.
Yeah. 6 basketball games.
As we're getting closer to March Madness already.
Right. Let's hope we get a team or two in. BYU needed this win. Weber State needs to somehow get a win in the Big Sky tournament that maybe represents. We'll see how that all works out.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
We'll be right back. Thanks for being part of Fox 13 News at 9.
Quick Cast is next. Stick around.